If you're told you've been exposed to an infected person, you must self-isolate for 14 days.
One of the central pillars of lockdown, the self-isolation law, could be gone in England within 2 weeks.
I've done my 7 days of isolation. Alas,
Lifting the laws that confined the Prime Minister and many others over the last 2 years would make Britain the first country to declare the pandemic over.
Provided the current encouraging trends in the data continue, it is my expectation that we will be able to end the last domestic restrictions, including the legal requirement to self-isolate if you test positive, a full month early, Mr. Speaker.
The government said there would still be guidance to stay at home if you're infected, but no legal requirement. Some scientists said the announcement had come earlier than expected.
Certainly I was very surprised. I had not expected this announcement today. Often with announcements like this, you get some indication that they're going to be made in the run-up to the announcement, but nothing today. So it was entirely out of the blue. One would hope that a decision like that was taken after seeking the advice of the chief scientist and the chief medical officer.
Makes you just scratch your head and wonder a little whether the science is being read or the opinion polls and political pages.
But it is a finely balanced decision, because ultimately you've got to do what is in the best interests of society as a whole.
Some of those who've seen the Prime Minister behind closed doors in recent days say he's in full survival mode, commissioning his aides to look for announcements that will cheer up his restless backbenchers. And lifting the remaining lockdown restrictions in England is a surefire crowd pleaser with them. But one MP who's already submitted a letter demanding a vote of no confidence says it won't be enough.
The Prime Minister will be well aware that 101 MPs opposed restrictions and rebelled in December. The Prime Minister needs friends, and more than that, he certainly doesn't want to create any more enemies, and that announcement today will serve his purpose.
He'll be hoping it cools tempers on the backbenches, will it?
No, I don't. I think MPs are going to come under continued pressure from their electorate and their associations. Their members are not happy about the situation.
Tonight, the Mirror newspaper published a new photo of one of the Downing Street events that took place while lockdown laws were in place. The Christmas quiz on 15th December 2020 was already known about. But this photo, with a bottle of wine and some party food in shot, was not. The Prime Minister's former top aide, Dominic Cummings, tweeted, "There's way better pictures than that floating around, including in the flat." But if they exist, he doesn't appear to have his hands on them. In a statement tonight, the Metropolitan Police said they would be reviewing their decision to exclude the event in the photo from their investigation, suggesting that that photo may not have been in the bundle of evidence provided to them by Sue Gray, who led the Whitehall internal investigation. The biggest threat to Boris Johnson remains the Downing Street parties which allegedly breached lockdown laws. Lifting those laws eases the pressure a bit on the Prime Minister, but it doesn't look like it removes it. Gary Gibbon, Channel 4 News, Westminster.
And some breaking news. While we've been on air, the Metropolitan Police has announced that detectives investigating alleged breaches of COVID regulations in Downing Street will begin contacting over 50 people thought to have taken part in the events by the end of the week. Well, the latest government figures show that 68,214 people tested positive for COVID in the last 24 hours. 13,545 are in hospital, and a further 276 people have sadly died within 28 days of a positive test. So what's been the reaction to the government's plan to end isolation in England within weeks? Our Health and Social Care editor, Victoria MacDonald, is with me now. What's the reaction?
Well, Matt, if I could raise one eyebrow, I'd be raising one eyebrow at you right now, because I think that has been the reaction. Is
you're doing
the
it
fact
at the moment.
is, am I? The fact is that the numbers are still very high. Now, every week, twice a week, we get Office for National Statistics drop into our emails, and just after the Prime Minister had stood up in Parliament, we had our Wednesday drop. And they said, and here's the quote, "The figures show there is a still high prevalence of the virus across the country, with infections remaining well above pre-Christmas levels. In fact, they're rising in 3 of the 4 nations, only Wales showing a drop."
So what is the Prime Minister basing this announcement on?
Well, this is England, by the way, this
Yes.
announcement only. When I spoke to Number 10 press office, I asked an obvious question is, what was the scientific advice? And I didn't get an answer on that. They were able to say that the decision, when it is made, so post the recess, so from February the 21st, they will take into account some of the scientific data, but it doesn't mean to say that they will listen to it. They also said that he will be setting out a strategy on how we learn to live with COVID, but we don't know quite what that strategy will be yet.